السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله وصفيه من خلقه وخليله، بلغ الرسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح الأمة وكشف الله به الغمة وجاهد في سبيل ربه حتى أتاه اليقين. فاللهم اجزيه عنا وعن والدينا وعن الإسلام والمسلمين خير ما جازيت به نبيا عن قومه ورسولا عن أمته. اللهم أحينا على سنته وتوفنا على ملته وأوردنا حوضه واسقنا من يده الشريفة شربة هنيئة لا نظمأ بعدها أبدا. اللهم اجمع بيننا وبينه كما آمنا به ولم نره، ولا تفرق بيننا وبينه حتى تدخلنا مدخله. ثم أما بعد. We will continue, inshallah, studying the book of Ihya Ulumuddin, and we're still in the first chapter, طلب العلم, or al-ilm, knowledge. And as we mentioned before, Imam Ghazali rahmatullah alayhi started with this as he considered this chapter the most important one, as it provides us with the understanding of knowledge and what do we mean by knowledge, what are the useful knowledge and useless knowledge, and the knowledge that we need for this dunya and the knowledge we need for al-akhirah. And that is related to the title of his book, Ihya Ulumuddin, the revival of the science of religion. So we need to understand these things. And today we'll just address one particular subject. When he talked, rahimahullah, fi adab al-muta'allim wal-mu'allim, the adab of the student of knowledge and the adab also of the teachers of knowledge. So today we'll talk about the adab al-muta'allim, student of knowledge. What are the adab that we need to have in order to seek knowledge? He provided wonderful examples that applies not only to seeking knowledge but also to all forms of ibadat. Very important. And the analogy he provided also can stick in our mind. So he said the first adab, or the first adab of adab طالب العلم, تقديم طهارة النفس على رذائل الأخلاق ومذموم الأوصاف. He said the student of knowledge should start with طهارة النفس. We know the word tahara. When we talk about tahara, we talk about wudu, ghusl, preparation for salah. That's why every book of fiqh starts with tahara, right? And how to clean yourself from any najasa. The najasa is the word of tahara. So we cannot come to the masjid and sit down here for Jum'ah or for lectures and waiting for salah unless we have tahara, right? And tahara to be achieved by two ways. One is to remove the najasa, and second is to apply tahara. So when we use the bathroom, we have to clean our body. If there's any filth on our clothes, then we have to wash it or replace it, right? So to wash the body and to remove the najasa from the body and from the clothes, right? And that's not enough. You have to make wudu, right? Okay, so then we are able to pray. Otherwise, our salah will not be accepted, right? And similarly, he said the ibadah of al-batin, the tahara of al-nafs, is also important because the salah will not be accepted without tahara, right? And similarly, al-ilm, seeking knowledge, and can again, by extension, you can talk about siyam or hajj or sadaqah, will not be accepted if we did not do the tahara of the inside. Very important point. Again, another central point in Imam al-Ghazali's thoughts is zahir and batin, outside and inside. Before we start our salah, our outside must be clean. Okay? And because seeking knowledge, fasting, is the act of the heart, right? So the heart also must be cleaned from any filth right? And should be purified before we seek knowledge. Okay? He mentioned also the beautiful hadith that بُنِيَ الدِّينُ عَلَى النَّظَافَةِ. Islam has been constructed based on nadafa. And the hadith we all know, الطهور شطر الإيمان. الطهور, cleanliness, and tahara is half of the iman. Half of the iman. And this refers to the internal and external tahara. And he also mentioned the ayah in Surah At-Tawbah in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا إِنَّمَا الْمُشْرِكُونَ نَجَسٌ. Oh, you have believed, polytheists are filthy. Now, Abu Jahl and Abu Lahab were mushrikeen, but they were also wealthy. Maybe they take shower, they dress beautiful clothes and apply perfume. Right? So you have a mushrik and very wealthy, taking showers and look handsome and look good and have the most expensive clothes and apply the expensive perfume. And here in the other picture, you have a Muslim farmer working in his farm, sweating, and his feet is muddy, and he made wudu, and he stand before Allah to pray. Which one is cleaner or purer? Of course, if you look at the zahir, this kafir who took, spend half an hour in his jacuzzi and have this nice bath and all these shampoos and soap and perfume, he looks shiny. But Allah called him najas. And this believer was sweating and his feet and his clothes are covered with mud because he's working in his field. He's pure and clean. And Rasulullah said, Al-mu'minu la yanjus. When one of the Sahaba was junub and he saw the Prophet, but he hated to shake hands with the Prophet while he's junub. So he turned his face and ran away. And Rasulullah said, why didn't you see me? When he said, Ya Rasulullah, I was najas. He said, no, don't say that. Al-mu'minu la yanjus. You say you're junub, but you are not najas. But Allah said clearly, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu innama al-mushrikuna najas. In the other ayah, إنما الخمر والميسر والأنصاب والأزلام رجس من عمل الشيطان. This idol that been made of wood or stones, Allah called it najas. Why is it najas? It's clean. People clean their gods and perhaps put perfume on them. So Imam Ghazali actually said we have to differentiate between the picture and the meaning. There's a picture. If you see a picture of a pig, it's a picture of a pig, right? There's no halal and haram there. But when you see a pig, this is a different story, right? And he actually emphasized this point. And I wish we all understand this point. He said this mushrik, his picture from outside, it looks, very clean, very pure. But the inside, the meaning, it is the meaning. Allah is not saying the mushrikeen najas because of the outside. Right? But he's talking about the meaning, the nafs, the ruh, the being of this person, the inside, which Imam Ghazali emphasizes, actually, wants us to pay attention to this. You look at the outside of the person, you don't know what's inside, right? The outside could be shining, beautiful, clean. Inside is ruined. Like we see so many people nowadays, right? So he said when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us that إِنَّمَا الْمُشْرِكُونَ najas, He wants us to pay attention not only to what's visible, what we see from outside, but what is inside. Also, he made another wonderful example when he made an analogy between the hadith that we all know, لا تدخل الملائكة بيتا فيه كلب. The angels will not enter a house in which there is a dog. Of course, the exception is to have this dog for hunt or for guarding your cattle and so on. That's acceptable. But other than this, the angels will not enter a house in which there is a dog. And Imam Ghazali said, although he made it clear that he did not mean that there is the meaning of this hadith which is known. It's clear, language is clear. But he said by analogy, if we consider the heart to be the house of the angels. The house of the believers, the angels come to these homes when you read Quran and so on. But if there's a dog, then the angels will not come. Now, he made this analogy when he said, look at the heart. The heart is the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the place of Iman. This is the place of taqwa. Taqwa is here. Iman is here. Sincerity is here. Love is here. Fear is here. Right? Anger, animosity, hatred, arrogance, these are all dogs. And even worse, right? Because the dog is not bad because of who he is. He's bad because what he does. Some dogs actually are better than humans. Right? Because of the nature of the beasts. In other words, not the domesticated dogs that are very spoiled here in the West. So if a heart is full of these kind of dogs, naturally the light of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will never come to this heart. Is this point clear? The angels will not come to this house because there's a dog there. And he said similarly, the heart also that will not receive the light of Allah, the guidance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if there is a dog or more, and there are plenty of dogs. That he will the whole book actually we'll talk about this inshallah in detail in the future. And he said by analogy, the rahmah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because this knowledge, seeking knowledge is a gift from Allah. It's a rahmah from Allah. And this rahmah and light of knowledge will not come to the heart that is full of desires and envy and arrogance and greed. And he said, Allah subhanahu, knowledge is light that Allah puts in the heart of some of his servants. And he will differentiate between memorization of this. Some people have this ability to memorize things. They memorize al-Bukhari and they know the interpretation of what has been said about every hadith there. They know it. You ask him, okay, al-Bukhari said this and that, Abdullah ibn Umar, Rasulullah said this, and Ibn Hajar said that interpretation. They know things. But that's not the knowledge he's talking about here. That's memorization. Some people have beautiful or amazing memory. Give him anything, he memorize it. Give him Bukhari, he memorize it. Give him the Bible, he memorize it. Give him the Quran, he memorize it. Give him a book of law, he will memorize it. And again, he said that's not the knowledge he's talking about. He's talking about the internal. The light of Allah's knowledge will not come to a heart that's full of these dogs, the disease of the heart. He said, know that the heart that's filled with anger and lust and desire of this dunya, and the heart of the person who devours the flesh of the people by backbiting and spreading rumors and smearing people and destroying their reputation, is like a dog. And so this heart, if you look at the picture from outside, it looks like a heart. But the meaning of this heart is a dog. And he said, the light of basira. The word basira, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surah Al-Isra, فَإِنَّهَا لَا تَعْمَى الْأَبْصَارِ وَلَكِنْ تَعْمَى الْقُلُوبِ الَّتِي فِي الصُّدُورِ. It's not the eyes that get or turn blind, but it is the heart of some people that turn blind. And he said the light of the basira, those arifin, those awliya of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when they look at people, they know. He looks like a person, a human, but he has, in the essence of the person is a dog. So enjoy biting people. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said about those who backbite. أَيَوَدُّ أَحَدُكُمْ أَنْ يَأْكُلَ لَحْمَ أَخِيهِ مَيْتًا فَكَرِهْتُمُوهُ. Would you hate to see someone eating the flesh of a dead body? Oh my God! Just think about it. Think about it. It's like this canopy, they got canopy. Imagine if there's a janazah in the masjid here and someone up in the janazah start eating it. How awful this can be. It's awful, but Allah mentioned it just to make us think. It is as awful and horrible to backbite people, to speak negatively about them. So Imam al-Ghazali said that although some will look like humans, but the meaning of this person is like a dog. And he said, and those who want to take the money of the people in any way is like wolves. And arrogant people are like tigers. And he said, in the day of judgment, these people will be resurrected in the day of judgment and appear not based on the picture they had in the dunya, but based on the meaning they have in the dunya. So in the day of judgment, you'll see around you perhaps some tigers and wolves and dogs. And this is so and so. Oh, really? He used to look like us, like humans. Yeah, he looked like human, but inside, he's like a dog or a tiger. And Imam al-Ghazali also said that وَطَلَبُ الرِّئَاسَةِ فِي صُورَةِ أَسَدٍ. Those who always do anything to stay in control, in power, they will be in the day of judgment like lions. Brothers and sisters, it is true, it is real. When someone, to stay in power, to burn his own people and to use chemical weapons to kill innocent civilians, that's not human. He looks like human. He has a human name, he has a head and shoulders and legs and eyes and ears, and he looks like human, but they are not human. They are not. Those who enjoy torturing people, Rasulullah ﷺ talked about them. صنفان من أمتي لم أرهما. There are two kinds of people from my ummah, I've never seen them. He was told about them, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And one of the two, he talked about the women who are quote unquote Muslims, but the way they look is not look like Muslims at all. And the other kind is those who hold lashes and other now have, mashallah, Muslim world are very good in technology of torture. You know, they know how to create, machines to torture people, as someone told me. Iraqi guy in the time of Saddam Hussein. He said, you cannot imagine what kind of technology. They have good technology now, how to really torture people. And they torture men and women until they enjoy it. They have no problem at all. This is his job. He works 8-10 hours a day doing nothing but torturing people. And they laugh around. I've seen many of these videos in Syria and Iraq. They burn people alive and they keep laughing. Al-Quran actually told us about this in Surah Al-Buruj. Right? هل أتاك الذين إذ هم عليها قعود النار ذات الوقود إذ هم عليها قعود وهم على ما يفعلون بالمنى شهود. They are sitting in luxurious couch and watching the believers brought one after the other being burned alive, and they are laughing and enjoying. Like the Romans, they have these games, wrestling, and someone has to kill the other, right? People wrestle with so these people are not humans. They are not humans. They look like humans. They have human names and shape, but they are not humans. They are not human. They are either dogs and animals, beasts, tigers and lions and hyenas, and they are around us. We see this. It depends what is established in the heart of the person. And some people they are not ashamed of doing shameful things. There's no shame. No shame. They do it and they openly do it, and there's no shame. He lost his humanity. And we just need to open. This is not to judge people, but this is more to just to understand this fact and to look at our own hearts. So he said that, he quoted this hadith, that يحشر الممزق لأعراض الناس كلبا ضاريا. And then he said, Imam Ghazali said, this is the first adab, by the way, is to purify the inside first. And similarly, when we go for Hajj or we fast from Ramadan or stand before Allah, why is that you cannot come for Jum'ah and sit down, listen to the khutbah and then pray unless you have tahara? And someone is, again, has tahara, but his heart is very filthy, very filthy. Has all kind of najasa. Again, of hatred and arrogance and envy and all these things. So that's why Rasulullah ﷺ told us many times in different words, Allah does not look at your shape. Allah does not look at your clothes. Allah looks at your heart. This is what Allah looks at. This is what Allah looks at. So before we start seeking knowledge, then we have to clean inside first. And he said, if you ask me how many bad students, they have filthy hearts, but they excel in quote-unquote Islamic knowledge, you know, he's like, he memorizes very quickly, he knows, and then he got high degrees in fiqh or hadith or tafsir or any of these fields, but their akhlaq is bad. So how come? They made it. You are telling us that you have to purify your heart first before you seek knowledge, but these people did not purify their heart, but they got the knowledge. And he said, that cannot be further from knowledge that I'm talking about. He collected information. That's not knowledge. And then he quoted Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu when he said, ليس العلم بكثرة الرواية إنما العلم نور يقذف في القلب. Knowledge is not about memorizing narrations. Knowledge is a light that comes from Allah to the heart of the knowledgeable people. And others said, إنما العلم الخشية. Real knowledge is fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Knowledge, any knowledge that does not lead to this is not knowledge. And I've seen many people, simple people, I'm sure you know, especially our parents and grandparents, people are very simple, very, very simple. Many of them are not even educated at all, they don't know how to write or read. But they went through all kind of tests, never shake their iman. Actually, in fact, they made them better and stronger believers. Don't memorize it. They don't know how to read. Never been in a school. Never been in a school. Not from poverty to fear to illnesses and to deprivation from basic things. And alhamdulillah, all the time, this alhamdulillah, whatever Allah brings, we accept. And at the same time, you see these superstars now in TVs, shuyukh. And the love of dunya and competition on dunya between them is just is dangerous, so unbelievable. They talk very well about patience. They talk about al-akhirah and this dunya is short, and they make people cry. But look at their life. They failed the first test. They talk about how Muslims should be brave and say the truth, and the Sahaba did this, and the Tabi'een did that, and Umar did this, and Ali ibn Abi Talib did that. And now, you see dhulm, people being killed. Remains, Sheikh, why you are not speaking? Because if I spoke, I'm going to lose my job, and I'm going to lose my TV channel I established. I'll be in trouble. But you told us that you should be brave, and the Sahaba did this, and they know how to, it's all business. Imam Ghazali actually talked about them. There was no TV at that time, but he talked about those who seek knowledge to get closer from the political authority. And when you get closer from the political authority, this means that you guarantee that a good job, right? And you have a lot of competition, so you have beat all other scholars. So the political authority trusts you, and then when they trust you, you have to do whatever they want to keep this job and money and fame. He said, these are not scholars. These are not the scholars we're talking about. So in one hand, you see these poor, simple people. Imam al-Razi, radiyallahu anhu ardah, one of the greatest minds in Islam. And he said, I've spent 40 years of my life debating all these detailed fiqhi things and theological things. But now I wish I die with the same faith and iman of the old ladies in Nisabur, in Iran today. These ladies in these villages, their iman is the most pure iman. Easy, simple, believe in Allah, trust Allah, accept whatever Allah brings to you, put your hopes on Allah, and whatever you suffer, you know this dunya is short, simple and easy. We have seen this and we have seen that. I've seen people who justify for every dictator you know in the Muslim world surrounds himself with quote unquote scholars. In our Islamic tradition called ulama al-sultan. The ulama, every dictator surrounds himself with these corrupt people that we call them scholars. And these poor, low-educated people, their heart is really full of iman. Most of the Sahaba were like this. Most of the Sahaba were not scholars. Some of them were scholars, like Mu'adh ibn Jabal, Ali ibn Abi Talib, Umar, Ali, and these are scholars. But not every one of the Sahaba was a scholar. In fact, the Sahaba that we don't know their names or hear about is much greater than in number than the Sahaba that we know of. Simple people, but their iman is very strong. The second adab of seeker of knowledge is أن يقلل علاقته من الاشتغال بالدنيا ويبعد عن الأهل والوطن فإن العلائق شاغلة وصارمة. Imam Ghazali is a great scholar and a very sharp mind teacher, and he said that when he gave the example of a river, stream, right, that holds great amount of water, and he said, imagine if this stream, right, branched into like 10 smaller streams. What will happen to the amount of water of each one of these 10 branches? He said one will be, the air will take some of them, and the other one, the earth will take down some of the water, and the sun will cause some of this water to evaporate, and what will happen will be very insufficient, very little. And he said similarly when it comes to ideas. When you seek knowledge, you want to do business, and you want to travel, and you want to discover the world, you cannot do all these things. You want to seek knowledge, just seek knowledge. And he said, you better go out. Stay away from your family, from your community, which is very useful, by the way. I tried this, it works perfectly fine. ما جعل الله لرجل من قلبين فيه. You don't have two hearts. This is the ayah we always quote, because you cannot have two hearts. In other words, these multitasking things could be, we misunderstand multitasking. Multitasking not to do the same thing at the same time. Nobody can do this. But people with high management skills, they can organize their time to do this in this time, and this in this time, and this in this time. That's multitasking. So he said, when you seek knowledge, you cannot seek knowledge to be successful in knowledge, and successful in business, and successful in relationships, and successful in entertainment and traveling. You cannot. You just have to focus on one thing. Put your power, your energy in one thing. That's his advice. The third one is ألا يتكبر على العلم ولا يتأمر على المعلم بل يلقي إليه زمام أمره بالكلية. Arrogance and seeking knowledge cannot coexist. And it has been said, one of the ulama said that if you are not willing to humiliate yourself to seek while seeking knowledge, you will humiliate yourself for the entire life by arrogance. In other words, it's better to seeking knowledge requires some humility. You have to travel. You have to sit down and listen to your teacher, right? And to humble yourself. to the person that's teaching you. Otherwise, how can we? And he quoted this: "Al-ilmu harbun lil-fata al-muta'ali." That's a Arab poetry. He said, "Al-ilmu harbun lil-fata al-muta'ali, kas-sayli harbun lil-makan al-ali." So as-sayl, when the rain comes down on the mountain, it goes down. Have you ever seen the opposite, the water going up? Similarly, knowledge will never go to an arrogant person. Like the water will not go up in the mountain, it always goes down. So if you want to seek knowledge, then you have to humble yourself, and especially to your teacher. Because ليس من أخلاق المؤمن التملق إلا في طلب العلم. It's not of the akhlaq of the believer to humiliate himself except when it comes to seeking knowledge. Then you have to humble yourself to your teacher. And there are plenty. Abdullah ibn Abbas, one of the greatest scholars in our history. No scholar was like Abdullah ibn Abbas. No one. No one. I was just the other day reading about one of Abdullah ibn Abbas was a phenomenal person. He whatever he hears or reads, he memorizes. One of the leaders of the sects called Khawarij, Al-Azraq, he came to Abdullah ibn Abbas, who was the cousin of the Prophet ﷺ, and came with so many questions. He asked him the tafsir, what's the tafsir of this word in the Quran? He said, this word means such and such. So, how do you know this? He said, haven't you heard the poets, pre-Islamic poets, saying, and he quoted the poet and the verse, and this is what it means. And how about this word? And this word means so and so. Where do you get this from? Haven't you heard, Abdullah ibn Abbas, haven't you heard such and such of the poets saying, and then he quotes this verse, he memorizes them. And then Abdullah ibn Abbas, he got tired of so many questions. It's by the way, it's not of the adab to ask your teacher so many questions. And then when they were speaking, Umar ibn Abi Rabi'ah. Umar ibn Abi Rabi'ah is Qurayshi, and people respect Quraysh. We know that. Quraysh has its own prestige. But Quraysh does not have a great poet. They don't have a poet. Quraysh is always ahead of others, except in poetry. Until Umar ibn Abi Rabi'ah came. Very amazing poet from Quraysh. And so when he interrupted this meeting, Abdullah ibn Abbas welcomed him and said, please come in, how are you? Sit down. Did you say any poetry recently? He said, yes. So, tell me, what do you say? And he kept saying his long poetry. Beautiful. And Abdullah ibn Abbas enjoyed it and listened to it. And of course, as you know, part of the tradition is to start your poetry, long poetry, with your love and talk about the woman he loves and when she left and how sad he was and how much he dreams of her, all these things. It's part of the tradition. And this guy, one of the leaders of Khawarij, the most extreme groups, he was very upset that you are leaving me and you are tired of my questions about the meaning of the words of Quran and you're listening to this, he said this inappropriate. He said, I didn't hear anything inappropriate. Then he said, no, but he said, I said, no, he did not say that. He said, listen, I said, did you memorize it? He said, I memorized it, and if you want, I can say it all to you now, repeat it right now. It's like, the recorder we have. He said, yes, I want you to say it. And he said, okay, he said, and he read the whole poetry. That he just listened one time from Umar ibn Abi Rabi'ah. Abdullah ibn Abbas, when he was young, he had one of his best friends. He said, you know what? The Sahaba are still alive. They saw the Prophet ﷺ and they traveled with him and did jihad. So let's go and collect this knowledge from them. And his friend told him, Abdullah ibn Abbas, are you kidding? You think people will come to you asking you for knowledge? In the presence of Abdullah ibn Umar, and Umar al-Khattab and Talha and Zubayr, all these great. So his friend did not go with him. But Abdullah ibn Abbas did. And he used to go and knock the door. No, he went to one of the Sahaba because he heard that he knows something about the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, but he found him taking a nap during the daytime. So what he did, he was waiting outside at the door of the house of this person, and at that time there's no grass and trees, and the wind would come and covered him with dust, and he covered himself, and he did not even knock the door to wake him up. And this Sahabi woke up and he was coming out, perhaps for Asr or before Asr, and he said, I said, oh my God, the cousin of Rasulullah is here, what's going on? He said, I didn't want to disturb your sleep and just came to ask. So he said, why didn't you send someone to me? I would have come to you. He said, thank you, shukran. I said, no, we go to the people of knowledge. We don't ask them to come to us, we go to them. This is how. And Zayd ibn Thabit radiallahu anhu was in a janazah. And when they were done with the janazah and he went to ride his mount, and Abdullah ibn Abbas went to hold the ride for him, his camel or horse. And Zayd ibn Thabit was embarrassed. I mean, the cousin of the Prophet Abdullah ibn Abbas, he said, خلي عنك يا ابن عم رسول الله. We have to show respect to you, Ahl al-Bayt. So Ibn Abbas said, هكذا أمرنا أن نفعل بالعلماء والكبراء. As such, we have been asked or required to treat our scholars and kubara. Kubara means the respected elders. Because he's a scholar. Zayd ibn Thabit is a great scholar. And then Zayd ibn Thabit held his hand. He was riding now, and Allah was holding his horse for him. And he held his hand and he kissed his hand. And he said, and as such, we have been ordered to treat Ahl Bayt Rasulullah. So Abdullah ibn Abbas humiliated himself to seek knowledge. And later on, when Abdullah ibn Abbas became the most knowledgeable person in his generation, his friend said, yo, you were right, I wish I listened to you, I came to you. Now Abdullah ibn Abbas, he's the one that knows. And then Imam Ghazali mentioned the story of Musa and Al-Khadr and how Musa alayhi salam humbled himself to a person who's not a prophet. He's Al-Kalim, but he went ask him, هل أتبعك على أن تعلمني, would you allow me to accompany you so that you may teach me some of what Allah has taught you, so that you cannot. Inshallah, don't lose hope in me. You will find me a patient. Inshallah, you will find me patient. I will never disobey you. So Imam al-Ghazali mentioned this also as an example of how we should humble ourselves to our scholars, and we should not actually ask them questions with the intention of embarrassing them, which some people like to do that. I ask a question, so if the speaker did not know how to answer me, then this means I'm so smart. No, don't. And if he made a mistake, you don't have to, oh, you are wrong, you did this. You can write to him later on, or between you and him, just, I think this was not right, and so on. And don't always choose the right time to ask questions. It's not like any time, and you have a question. As I was in Dearborn, and someone called me 3 a.m. It was like about 1 hour before Fajr, because they work in the night shift. Imam, we thought that you are awake now, ready for Fajr, so I have a question for you. Okay. What is the name of the wife of Zakaria alayhi salam? So you're calling me before Fajr to ask me about the name of the wife of Zakaria alayhi salam? And so this is what happens. That's when people see someone of knowledge, they remember all the questions. So if this question was very important, why did you wait? Why did you come right time to ask questions? And Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu also told us how to treat our scholars when he said لا تكثر عليه بالسؤال. Don't ask so many questions. ولا تعنته في الجواب. When he gives you the answer, don't keep asking again and again. ولا تلح عليه إذا كسل. Sometimes he's tired, he's not feeling good. Don't keep asking him. When you feel that he wants to go, he's tired. خلاص, let him go. Don't hold him because sometimes if he wants to go for some reason, then choose the right time to ask. ولا تأخذ بثوبه إذا نهض. When he stands up, don't hold his clothes and ask him to sit down to answer your question. ولا تفشي له سرا ولا تغتابن أحد عنده. Don't if you know something about a secret about him, then don't go and tell others. ولا تغتابن أحدا عنده. Okay, and don't seek his mistakes. وإن زل قبلت معذرة. If he made a mistake and he apologized, then accept it. وعليك أن توقره وتعظمه لله تعالى. Respect him for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. ولا تجلس أمامه وإن كانت لك حاجة سبقت القوم إلى خدمته. Don't sit down before him. If you're like in Jum'ah or any meeting, don't sit down in front of him. Always ask him to sit in front of you. And if he needs something, you should compete with other students to go and do it for him. And I want to end with the 10th one. There are 10 adab. I will have no time to mention every one of them. So I just want to end with the 8th and the 10th. He said that the intention of the seeker of knowledge immediately or in this dunya is to purify his inside, his heart, and for the akhirah to bring him nearer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So these are the two intentions. We seek knowledge to help us clean our hearts in the dunya, and the result of this knowledge in al-akhirah is to achieve the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the intention should not be like to get a good job and so on. And then the last one is very interesting, very nice. And he gave a very good example. I think that will help us understand his point. He said, the student of knowledge must understand the relationship between the knowledge he's seeking and the objective of it. Imam Ghazali was again, is a philosopher and great mind. And we talked before about how he classified knowledge. But here he said he should prefer the high knowledge based on the maqasid, objective, and the more important knowledge. So he said, this is the example he's giving. He said, if a slave, think about a slave. If a slave is told that if you go for Hajj and perform Hajj with all arkan of Hajj, you will gain your freedom and you will be the king. Okay? A slave. If he performed Hajj and did all the arkan of Hajj, he will gain his freedom. He'll be a free, not abd anymore, not slave anymore. And not only that, he will get the position of being the king. Right? And he said, expectedly, this person has to do three things. The first thing is to get ready for this journey. And getting ready means he will buy a ride and food for his animal and so on and so on. This is the preparation for the journey. The second thing he needs to do is to start the journey, traveling, right? Preparation in his town and then traveling from his house or town to Mecca. And during this trip, he will go up hills and downs and dangerous things, and he has to be careful and he has to know the map. This knowledge is important to know what's dangerous, what can destroy him, what is the right way to take, and so on and so forth, right? And then when he arrived to the miqat and then to Mecca, he needs to do what? The arkan. One after ihram and tawaf and sa'i and arafah and Muzdalifah and Mina and all these things that we know. All right? So this is exactly what it is. To achieve Jannah and to draw nearer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we need to go through these three things, and each one of them needs its own knowledge. Right? Preparation. Before you go, you need to make sure that now we get the meningitis, you have to apply for the visa, and you have to make sure your passport is valid, and you have to get the medicine you need, and all these things. That's the preparation. This knowledge of preparation, tell me, would this help in of itself if he did not take the journey? If you did all these things, but did not travel, so how would this help? The visa in your passport means nothing, right? All the food and medicine you brought means nothing. And this is he said, this kind of knowledge is medicine and fiqh. In the preparation journey, you need these two things. But this knowledge, fiqh and medicine, will not be enough. Will not be enough. You need them, definitely, but that's not enough. And then he said, once you start your journey, then you need to know that you are going to face some troubles. That's not going to be easy. And think about people coming from India or from Morocco going for Hajj 500 years ago. Very difficult, right? Camels and deserts and illnesses and viruses and thieves and barren valleys, and you may run out of water, out of food, out of money, and your camel can die, you can get sick. All these things can happen. And this is exactly what happens when you walk to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Imam Ghazali said that your road to Al-Akhirah, to be free and to be the king in Jannah, you really have to take this journey. You need to take this journey. But taking this journey is not going to be easy. Resisting the temptations and suppressing your desires, focusing on your journey, resist laziness. That's what we need to do to go to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Not studying, okay, this is the best road. You get a PhD in fiqh of Hajj and you stay home. This fiqh will not help you at all. You are not going to get free. You're going to lose this prize. Get free and get the leadership. This is exactly what Imam Ghazali is trying to say. He said fiqh and medicine is good for our body, but that's not going to achieve the goal. You have to get out. And when you get out, then you're going to take a risk. It's not going to be easy. You will pass by beautiful places and say, you know what, I like this town, it's beautiful, I'm going to buy a house here and stay, it's beautiful. This is what many people do. Or, you know, I don't think I can do it, it's so tough, so difficult, you know what, I would rather spend the rest of my life as a slave. You got the analogy. So for us to get our freedom and to get place in Jannah, then we have to get the provision, get ready, set, and go. And when we go, then we have to do, and he said this is the knowledge of mukashafa. This is the highest level of those who did both, achieved the Hajj, got their freedom and kingdom. Right? So he said, radiallahu anhu arda, al-ulum, knowledge, are three. One is important for the preparation, right? That's tibb and fiqh, medicine and fiqh. And the second kind of knowledge is يجري مجرى سلوك البوادي وقطع العقبات, and this is تطهير الباطن, cleaning our hearts from the bad things. And you have to go through mountains and hills and valleys and so on. And cleaning our heart is not easy. It will take a lot of effort. And the third one that in the place of Hajj itself is to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His attributes, to know about the acts of Allah, the bounties of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala upon us. That's the highest level. So the first stage, preparation, need something good for your body, food and fiqh and medicine and so on. The second one is purifying our hearts. That's the travel itself, which could be difficult and tough. That's why you need to have someone who knows the roads, someone to give you guidance. And the third one is, as he said, to know, to get, that's why we call them al-arifin, these awliya, those who actually got well prepared, and then they took the journey. They're not looking right and left. Their goal is to go to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, clean their hearts, resist the temptations, and focus on this mujahada against themselves. And when they go there and they do tawaf and sa'i, this is when you know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he said, then these people reach this level of mukashafa. Then they don't write books and lecture about this. This is something only for them. They deserve this prize, to be free and to be kings. And I forgot to mention something, that this slave that has been told that if you do, they will tell him about, if you go in the journey but you could not reach Hajj, for something happened to you, then you will be free but you will not be the king. Okay? So he said, those who made it all the way, got prepared, took the journey, and they fulfilled the arkan of Hajj, as-sabiqun as-sabiqun. And those who got prepared and they took the journey but could not reach to Mecca, they are ashabul yamin. But those who did not get prepared and those who did not take the journey, these are ashabul shimal. So when you read Surah Al-Waqi'ah, right? Ashabul yamin ma ashabul yamin, right? السابقون السابقون أصحاب الشمال ما أصحاب الشمال. It's up to you. In this journey, some will stop somewhere. Some will die on the road. Right? Some will, because they're not strong enough, they will not make it all the way to Mecca. And some will do it all the way to Mecca and make the tawaf and the sa'i, all these arkan. I will stop here, inshallah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to reward Imam al-Ghazali, the best of his reward, for his knowledge and contribution to Islam. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bestow his mercy upon him. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gather him with Jannah in Jannat al-Firdaus. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم. Questions or comments before Isha? I still have plenty of time, right? Yes. Well, he quoted a hadith. Hadith might not be very authentic, but in other hadith, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, for example, says the arrogant people, the most arrogant people in this dunya, okay, not really care about people. They make decisions. He said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they will be so tiny that the people will be stepping on them. This is their punishment. That you used to exalt yourself and consider yourself like God, like Pharaoh said, "Ana rabbukum al-a'la." Now he'd be like so tiny, so small. People step on them. But the meaning, actually, what he said, I've seen it in my life. Again, these people who constantly lie, constantly torture people, constantly destroy people. They build their own kingdom from the bones and the blood of the poor people. They know that. They know that. And then, in these Muslim countries, you see people, wallahi, picking food from garbage to eat. And these, the 1%, every country has its own 1%. They live like kings and they don't care. They do not care. They're not humans. Because humans are, Allah subhanahu, he talked about al-qalb, the heart. He said, al-qalb is the nafs, the ruh, nobody knows. It's a secret. It's a divine secret. And he said the body becomes like a ride. When you fly from Detroit to Jeddah for Hajj, you are in an airplane. You need this airplane, but you have to get out of it. The goal is not to live in the airplane. The goal is to use it for a while, to take you from point A to point B. But nobody lives in an airplane. Similarly, this ruh, Allah, nobody knows except it's a secret that comes in the body, and then the time will come, it has to come out. It has to come out. That's why death is not, as we always think about, is a horrible, bad, awful thing. No, it's meant to be this way. When you buy a ticket, you know you are going to have a seat in an airplane that will take you from this airport to this airport, and you have to get out. But stupid people want to like it, like the air condition, they like the entertainment program there, they want to keep watching, and man, time to go. No, I like to stay here. But now you have to go. You have be forced to get out, like this the airlines, when they drag you. If you refuse to get out, you'll be dragged out. You have no choice. You have to get out. So some people are much worse than animals, because animals, they don't kill for entertainment. They kill to eat. They don't kill for pleasure. And these people, I've seen people torturing and raping people, just laugh. They enjoy it. They cut people to pieces and they take pictures. So Abu Ghraib with American soldiers putting people on top of each other, piling up, and then take pictures. They're not human. It doesn't matter what religion. When you see someone suffering, when you see an animal suffering, and your heart does not move, then you're not a human. You lost your human. That's why this lady who imprisoned a cat, we don't have to go so far. Rasulullah told us that this lady has no mercy in her heart. And she sees this cat dying gradually. And she's happy, she's enjoying, she's killing the cat. She's not a human. She deserves to be in the hellfire. Right? Brothers, you know that some Muslims will be in the hellfire for a while. Eventually will come out. Rasulullah told us that. We all know that. Because to be in Jannah, you cannot have any of these garbage in your heart. There's no garbage in Jannah. That's why you have to purify yourself, or you'll be purified. If you don't purify yourself in this dunya, you'll be taken care of in your grave. And you'll be taken care of in Jahannam. Jahannam will clean them up until they are pure, then get out. Now you are eligible to enter Jannah, because no one will enter Jannah with arrogance. No one will enter Jannah with hatred. That's why for the believers, illnesses, troubles, difficulties are mechanisms. It's mercy from Allah, because we sometimes fail to do the job. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent these difficulties and poverty and fear and worry and anxiety to clean us. But some people will die and all these things don't. Then that's why Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us the kafir will be given his reward in this dunya. But the mu'min, before he dies, Allah will clean him, purify him. It's better to get some illness here in this dunya than suffering Jahannam wal-'iyadhu billah thereafter. So it's true that some people, they look like humans, but they're not humans. They cannot be humans. That's why they deserve to be put in there, even if when they say La ilaha illallah. Eventually, La ilaha illallah will help them, but they have to suffer sometime. Allahu A'lam. Questions or comments? Right. ثُلَّةٌ مِّنَ الْأَوَّلِينَ in Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talked about three kind of people. Like in Surah Al-Rahman before, the same thing, right? وَلِمَنْ خَافَ مَقَامَ رَبِّهِ جَنَّتَانِ وَمِن دُونِهِمَا جَنَّتَانِ. So the two Jannahs and then the hellfire, وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. And Waqi'ah also talk about three. أصحاب اليمين, أصحاب الشمال, والسابقون. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when he talks about sabiqun, those who got their freedom and kingdom, very few. Allah said, some group of the awwaleen, Sahaba and Tabi'een and qalilun min al-akhirin. These people will exist in every time and place, but in our time, there are very few. Maybe in the time of the Sahaba, many of them, Muhajirin and Ansar. But as the time goes, the number of these sabiqun will go down. But Ashabul Yameen, are plenty of them in the first group or the first generation, and there will also be plenty of them in the last generation or later generation. So most of the believers will be among Ashabul Yameen. Allahu A'lam. It's like, again, the analogy of the airplane. You have first class, business class. You have limited number of chairs there. But the majority of the airplane, if you are anywhere in the airplane, you're good. Right? But some people will be in this business class, will be treated differently. Allahu A'lam. Where are we now from this? Are we in the preparation? Are we in our journey? Have we arrived to Mecca? I would say we are still in our journey. But some of us are riding, sick donkeys. Some of us, they are riding a bike. Some of us are walking. Some of us have good horses. And some, mashallah, those who make it, they are running to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And as we go to Mecca, we are driven by love, by our fear of Allah and hope of His mercy. But there's also another force are holding us back. Right? That's dunya, hopes of more, need more, and these things are pulling us back. Something pushing you, and that's why Allah give us these wonderful opportunities of Ramadan, of Hajj and Umrah. Take advantage of it. This force that's pushing you is tremendous, and the power that pulling you is weaker. So that's why you go faster. So go as fast as you can in Ramadan. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us in our journey. Ameen ya Rabbal Alameen. Questions or comments? I don't know if the sisters have questions. We should actually give them the opportunity to write questions. If you want to write a question and send it, please do so. What is more motivating to Allah, fear or hope? Well, that's a good question, and there's no one answer fits all. Some people are driven by fear, others are driven, because we have different personalities. As you used to say that some doors, you need to push them to open them. Some other doors, you need to pull them. Not every door like the other. People are different. They said, العبد يقرع بالعصا والحر تكفيه الإشارة. This is one of the wisdom, piece of wisdom in Arabic poetry. العبد, people who got used to humiliation and got used to being beaten, people beat them. You don't listen until you beat him. Because abd, slave, he's spent his entire life in slavery. You tell him do this, and he just ignore it. And then you beat him, then he will do it. والحر, the noble person, with dignity. تكفيه الإشارة, إشارة just. Then you get it. And similarly, people are different. And Al-Quran actually aimed to create this balance. We should have both. As one of the ulama said, fear and hope are like the two wings of the bird. The bird cannot fly with one wing. You need both. But subhanallah, sometimes you see someone crying. And sometimes they cry out of fear when the jalal of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala appear to them. They cry out of respect to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But sometimes people cry out of love. When Allah talk about His forgiveness and mercy, they cry out of, like, they feel ashamed. So our reaction to fear and hope is different. We need to keep the balance. نبئ عبادي أني أنا الغفور الرحيم وأن عذابي هو العذاب الأليم. Inform my servant that I am the oft forgiving, the most merciful, and my punishment is indeed severe. So we need to have both. Allahu a'lam. Some ulama actually said, and I think this is also supported by the hadith, that when you are healthy, young, then you should think about fear more. But when you are in the end of your life, then you should think more of the hope of Allah. لا يموتن أحدكم إلا وهو يحسن الظن بالله. Rasulullah said that. Do not die except in a state of having great hope in Allah's mercy. When you are young, healthy, then fear is more needed. You need little more fear, because there are a lot of things going on. But now you are sick, you are expecting death to happen anytime. All what you need to do is just to have hope in Allah's mercy. One of the Salihin was dying, and his family were crying, and he said, "Why are you crying? Why? I have not missed one salah. I fasted like 60 plus Ramadans. I don't worship anybody but Allah. I know no God but Allah. So I'm good. Inshallah, I'll be good." So this is a time of hope. You cannot do so much. So and also I think it depends on your fear. If you think that it's easy to commit sins, then you need to think more about fear. And if you feel that you are close from losing hope in Allah's mercy, then you need to resort to Allah's hope. You see? Allah Alam. Last question? Comment? سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Inshallah, next week we'll have a Ramadan workshop. It will be held in the social hall. This is for brothers and sisters. So inshallah, next Jum'ah we'll pray Maghrib and go to the social hall, inshallah. Jazakallah khair.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله